What is good, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's happening with the news affecting the markets, talk about some big earnings that just came out, what news is saying about Elon Musk and Tesla, what you should be watching for on the charts, as Tesla looks very, very parabolic, and it looks like it's going to try to pump a lot as time progresses. But before I break anything down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and this offer ends today, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, now let's talk about what's happening with Tesla. So I apologize if I'm going to be a little fast in this video because I had a very, very big technical issue with my laptop. Everything has been resolved, and I'm kind of late today, so I'm trying to be kind of quick, get this out there as fast as possible because I have so much to say. I just want to get this out there. So when it comes to Tesla, we got this very, very parabolic move. This thing was pumping very nicely, and it broke past this resistance as Tesla has a very bullish looking setup. But it's not just that. When you zoom out of Tesla, you have a very, very simple beginner friendly setup. Check this out, a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. And this is playing out very nicely on Tesla, right? We have this left shoulder here, we have this head here, and we have a right shoulder forming. The chart has gone parabolic, especially because of Elon Musk and the news associated with him. So I'm going to break down some news about him in just the next couple of minutes. I'm going to talk about some earnings and stuff. Then I'm going to be coming back to the charts and give you guys my price predictions very, very soon. So let's talk about tomorrow, what's happening to the markets. So for tomorrow, we basically have something very important. An hour before the market opens, we have the PPI report coming out. This is similar to CPI, except it's going to be the producer price index. It's like CPI on the producer side. It's coming out month over month and year over year on both the core side and the all items side. So I'll be watching this very carefully. I also want to mention that PPI has been looking decent so far for the last couple of months, and there's a very good chance it's going to be aligned with expectations. So let's see if PPI is around 0.6 to 0.8% year over year, and if core is around 1.6 to 1.7%. I'll be watching for that, and we'll see how it goes from this point on. Now, once this comes out an hour before the market opens, this will affect SPY and the others, but then after that, we have more data. So we have Barr from the Fed giving a speech at 9:10 a.m. And the last major set of data comes out at 10 a.m. as we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report coming out, the 5-year inflationary expectations report, the current conditions report, and other pieces of data like that. We also have Daly from the Fed giving a speech at 12:10 p.m. So I'll be watching to see how all of this affects the markets. But for now, the two main pieces of data are going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Michigan data. Then we also have PPI an hour before the market opens. So with that being said, make sure you watch this, especially PPI is the biggest piece of data. I'll be talking more about this in just a few minutes. Now let's talk about some earnings which just came out. So for tomorrow, we have Air Canada, Cinemark, and just a couple of others. It's very, very minor. And just today, after the market closed, we just got DraftKings, Coinbase, and Roku. And this is going to be very important. So let's talk about them. Coinbase did very, very, very well. They absolutely crushed it. They have cited more stable coins. They're talking about their new priorities for 2024. And they actually saw a very, very nice increase in revenue, absolutely smashing all expectations by a long shot. Let me show you the numbers right over here. So Coinbase, they gave us $953.8 million in revenue, surpassing the $629 million dollars in revenue that we got in Q4 of 2022. They also have beaten expectations. The expectation was 820 million. They crushed it. They absolutely killed it. Amazing job by Coinbase. Also, earnings came out at $1.04 per share, which is absolutely insane. Very high net income, well ahead of the expectations of 2 cents per share. So analysts were expecting 2 cents per share, and we got $1.04, absolutely crushing it. So they killed it. They did very well. And on top of this, we're actually going to be looking at some very, very strong forecasts as well for the company because it's also the custodian for 8 of the 11 spot Bitcoin ETF issuers, meaning it's also finding cash flowing from that avenue. That's very, very good news for them, getting different streams of income. And on top of this, they're saying that there's been a lot of filing reports in their favor, even from the SEC. So guidance looks strong, good guidance they've announced. They announced some very, very strong metrics, good revenue streams, good growth, and they absolutely crushed earnings. So Coinbase is exploding right now. The share price is currently up like 13% or something. Let me just double check. Coinbase is up 13.5%. It's still pushing and absolutely killing it. It's getting closer to 190 all over again. Very, very strong. Now, what about the others? I'm going to be kind of quick with the others. DraftKings, not looking as good, very mixed report. It's very, very choppy. Basically, their overall revenue is not the best. You guys can see right here. Their EPS did beat expectations at 22 cents a share, but unfortunately, their revenue is only 1.24 billion, and their guidance was kind of mixed. So it's very, very choppy, very mixed earnings. Roku was not doing as well. EPS was okay, but their revenue for users slid down in Q4, and guidance is just not the best as well. So that's why we saw Roku fall. So Roku's earnings were not the best. DraftKings were kind of mixed, and then we had Coinbase, which had very strong earnings. That is kind of like it for today in terms of how these earnings are looking. So once again, that's kind of like your summary of earnings that just came out. We'll be watching to see what happens with Air Canada and Cinemark as time goes on. Now, when it comes to something else that's very important for the markets, I have the options chain summary for SPY. This is very important. For February 16th, which is going to be tomorrow, we have some interesting stuff. We have well over about 1.3 million or very close to 1.3 million calls expiring. And we have just under 2.85 million puts expiring, a 2.21 puts to call ratio. In total, it's almost even like 3 million of these puts. The majority of people have puts betting the market's going to fall not 6 months out, not 8 months out, but tomorrow specifically, that's when the options are expiring. So with that happening, if I was the market maker, I would hold the market up. I may even try to squeeze these shorts. There's a good chance the market holds up decently for tomorrow because of these options. Now, as far as Tesla goes, there's been a lot of talk about how the Cybertrucks are easily rusting and there's an easy fix. And there's been a lot of talk about this. Well, once again, there have been some complaints about rust spots. It is We have a pretty good idea about why it's happening. There's an easy fix about this. So this is a little bit negative news, technically, which came out like a few days ago. But there are some things out here. Tesla claims to be using its own 30x alloy for them, and other things like that. But there are some things that could be used to help alleviate these. They've been talking about this as well. Once again, looking at what's been happening, Tesla recommends immediately removing corrosive substances such as like grease, oil, bird droppings, and such, and its Cybertruck owner manual. And there are going to be a lot of like online remedies you could be looking for as well. Tesla, in my opinion, is going to help develop more and more systems to help fix this up. But that's kind of like the fix that Tesla's talked about so far. Uh, right now, I mean, I'm not seeing a whole lot of solutions specifically for this. But I do believe that something will come up, and this is something that Tesla will address in the future. I don't think it's the end of the world. Now, as far as Tesla goes, there has been a lot of talk about how Elon Musk's ownership is now at about 20.5%. Well, this was as of December 31st, 2023, from the latest filing report. And he basically has over 715 million of these shares in his control. A large percentage of them are just in common stocks. That's about 411 million, and the rest are just through exercisable options. So that's actually some very, very great news for Tesla. On top of this, there's a lot of talk about Elon Musk potentially buying more shares up very soon. Great news so far. We have a volume at 120 million. That's above the average volume, so good volume is coming in. Tesla's up 6%. And the short volume is dropping to only 47% to 41%. It's dropping. We're seeing less shorting. On top of this, the price price ratio has balanced. Tesla's gaining lots of strength. We tend to be green about 50 or 49% of the time on Friday, so it's kind of minor. And we tend to see green around 2 o'clock p.m., so watch for volatility then. Financial estimates are looking good, so Tesla's looking so good so far. So now let's just break down these charts and talk about how things are looking. So as you guys know, We have a very, very nice looking inverse head and shoulders like structure. Tesla's been holding this very, very nicely. I think there's a lot more upside potential. If Tesla tries to break out more, make sure you watch 202 as resistance. If it breaks that, 205 is technically the next minor level, but I don't think it's going to stop there. I think it's going to fill its gap at 207. And if that breaks, 212 is going to be our next target. If we break down, watch 200 as support. If we lose that, there's 198 and then 195 as supports. So watch them carefully. But the overall chart is still looking quite good. Now, I also want to call out that if you look at Tesla on the daily time frame. Let me just pull up the daily chart. Give me 1 second, guys. We look bullish. We look very, very bullish, very strong looking daily structure. And we also have this gap to fill at 207. So I think it's going to basically do that first. 207 should be coming very soon, so long as we hold up above 200. And then if that breaks, the 50 EMA at 212 is coming next for the full measured inverse head and shoulders move. The chart looks bullish, looks very, very bullish, very, very strong. I think there's a lot more upside potential. For SPY, we look bullish as well on the daily chart. This looks like it could pump even more. I think there's a very good chance that this is going to move with Tesla very, very closely. But I think Tesla is going to outperform SPY because of all this talk about Elon Musk buying shares and the bullish news that came out. So for SPY, let me just note that this is going to be more impacted by the PPI report. So at 8:30 a.m., we have PPI coming out. We'll see how this affects SPY. But ultimately, I think SPY is in still a very, very nice uptrend. I think it could push nicely. Watch 501 is critical support, followed by 499. As long as we hold above 500, I think this thing could rebound and push for 503.5, especially if we break the high of the day today. I think SPY will make its way up to 503.5 soon. And if that breaks, our next target is 505.25, followed by 507. I think 505 is going to be more heavy, so I'll be watching that as well. So I do want to note that to turn bearish, you want to see this thing lose 498 and then 496. To be bullish, you want to break above the high that we made today and then the all-time high at 503. I favor that SPY is going to retrace a bit when we open and start pushing back up to at least 503. I think we're going to be testing that in this very, very nice V-shaped recovery. And that is my target for tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to break that. If we do break, the all-time high 505 is coming next. So we'll just have to wait and see. But overall, the trend is still bullish on SPY as it is on the QQQ. Watch 434 as support. If we lose this, we could be sinking towards 432. But if we hold this, look for a little bounce. And our next imbalance at 436.75 will be coming next. I think that with this uptrend, we're making higher highs and higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. I think that this could push up towards this imbalance at 436.75. So I think the QQQ looks bullish. It could drop a little bit from here, then rebound. I think it might be pushing for 436 plus, especially because of Coinbase. I anticipate some upside, so watch for that very carefully. Now, what else is going to dictate this potential upside is uh, Nvda. Nvidia is trying to bounce here. We're going to be looking to see if this is kind of like a very sloppy looking, cup and handle like formation that's forming, because this kind of looks like a cup and this looks like a possible handle. It's a little messy, but I could see it trying to form it. I think that what's happening is we tend to base around 720 to 725, and we have resistance at 740 to 745. So I think that there's a very good chance we're going to push higher towards 740. Then we might just see some sideways consolidation for then. But if we get above 745, we're going to turn really bullish and break into the 750s. I think with the cup and handle, I favor the upside for Nvidia, and we might push up even higher. So that's what I think is going to pan out. Going to be looking for a nice push, and we'll see how it goes from there. Watch and see if we break out for 740, then trade in the range for the time being. For Aapl, I think that Aapl was on a big downtrend, but I told everyone to watch and see if this thing will bounce. And we got some bullish news. Finally, something bullish came out. We have new AI tools for Aapl, which are going to be rivaling those of Microsoft. And we saw the share price bounce as soon as that came out. So, with that being said, I think that's we have a potential setup for an inverse head and shoulders. This could be like our left shoulder over here. This could possibly be our head, and we might be forming a right shoulder, but I'm not going to count on this. We'll just have to see if this ends up panning out. So watch and see if we retrace towards 183. And if we do, watch for a bounce off of that back up to 185. If we break that, look for a bigger push for 186.5 and eventually 188. And we have an imbalance at 188, so let's see if Apple could break towards that. The trend looks bullish. The stock price looks bullish. So we'll see if we get that. I think that Apple has more potential to push even higher. So look for a little retracement and a bounce. That's the most likely possibility. Watch and see if we hold above our current 183 target and bounce off of that. If we lose 182, we could turn bearish. If we break 185, we turn bullish. And I favor that it's going to kind of like retrace and then break out to the upside a little bit more. Now, let me also note that the VIX, this thing is looking kind of weak right now. Got this big break to the downside. We're actually losing this support right here. We have this gap to fill down here. So this is looking bearish, and this is favoring that there might be more upside coming to the markets. So that being said, let's now talk about some more of these charts. I'm going to be looking at Webull when I do this. I want to mention that Rivian, we said this thing looked bullish, and we got the bullish move. So I think that going into tomorrow, it might retest 6.13, then bounce and push up for 6.8. There's a very good chance it's going to push higher. For SoFi, I think that this thing might, it's going to basically respect an uptrend because when you zoom out, this thing is in a very, very nice accumulation structure. So just like this, you could see right, we have this nice accumulation that's developing right here, and this thing does have potential to push up higher towards 9. We might retrace to 8.3 first and then bounce and push for 9, but I still anticipate it's going to push higher. For Palantir, as long as we hold 25, 27 should be coming, has a little uptrend. If we fail to hold 25, then 24.66 is going to be tested. Very tight levels. My guts tells me it might retest 25 flat. We'll see if it bounces off of that and pushes up for 27, or if it fails to do so. It looks to me like it's about to get a bullish PPO crossover, so it might push higher. It does favor the bulls a little bit more, so we'll see how it goes. In my previous video, I mentioned that the IWM Russell 2000 looks bullish. We came very close to our target, so watch for 205. If that breaks, 205.56 is next, and 207. The chart looks bullish. It looks bullish thus far. When you look at it, this is favoring bulls quite a bit more. So with this inverse head and shoulders, kind of like Tesla's, I could see it pushing for at least 205.56 by tomorrow, if not higher levels than that. Might retrace to 203 first and then bounce after that, so watch for that. For Microsoft, this is looking kind of weak now. It actually lost some critical support. It might retest 406, and if we lose that, 402 is coming next, but then it could bounce off of that, so watch for that very carefully. For Shopify, we're looking bullish. We're above our 50 EMA. Going to be looking for 85, then eventually, I think this is 87.5. That's going to be our next target. So look for a little push up above that. If that breaks, 90 is coming next. For AMD, going to be looking for 75, then 175, excuse me, then 173.15. Could retrace just a bit, and we'll see how it does after that. But still, it might try to bounce off those levels, but I could see a little bit more downside first. For SPX, for those who are interested in trading futures or anything like that, we could push higher. This is about to get a bullish crossover on the 4-hour for the time being. We've filled this gap and we could be testing this high up here. So it looks bullish for now, just like SPY. SPY is what's tracking this, if anything. For the VIX, it looks bearish. If we lose 14, watch 13.68. If that fails us, we have a gap to fill in the lower 13s. For the SQQQ, going to be looking for this thing to retrace a little bit more. We could actually get closer to 11 flats. We'll see how it does there. We have this 10.97 target. We'll see how that does. The dollar's looking kind of weak right now. If it loses 104.25, we're going to be approaching 103.97 next. For Coinbase, we're looking bullish. We could actually hit 190 again, even break closer to 200 if anything. It looks very strong. For Google might retest 142, then eventually 140. It looks kind of bearish for now as it lost its 200 EMA, so it's looking kind of weak. Amazon is looking a little weak, but I think it might test 168. If it bounces off of this, it's going to make its way back up to 170. If it loses that 168 support, we're going to be retracing to 165. We'll be watching this just to be safe. Last but not least, we have Meta. Meta looks a little good in my opinion. It's going to likely retest 481 or so, and we'll see how well it holds up. If we bounce off that very low 480s, excuse me, I think we're going to be pushing up towards 488s then 490. If we lose 480, expect it to come down to 472. But as of right now, we're in an uptrend. There's a very good chance it's going to bounce, so watch for that very carefully. Anyways, guys, that is it for the video. I do think the market has more upside potential, but make sure you're very careful with PPI coming out. As far as Tesla goes, Tesla's looking very, very strong. Got a nice breakout, nice uptrend, nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. I think that as long as we hold above 200, our next target is 207, then 212. We look bullish. Expect this thing to hold up nicely. Excuse me. I think it's going to hold up nicely. I really believe it. So we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. See you guys tomorrow morning. Take care. Get ready for PPI. Do what you have to do. And peace out.